We're going to start with the witnesses. I've got one juror that was sending me had a little bit of a cough, and I've got my assistant to bring you some water. So we got you some water, okay, ma'am? Sure. All right, is everybody else okay if we start with a witness? Everybody good? Good? All right, Ms. Jensen, call your witness, please.
State calls Jeff Wright.
Who's going to be handling the witness from the defense side?
Oh, I will, Your Honor.
Okay. You can come a little closer. A little closer. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? If so, say I do. All right, have a seat. Go on to the microphone. State your name and spell your last name, please.
Jeffrey David Wright, last name W-R-I-G-H-T.
Mr. Wright, what is your date of birth?
4/17/81.
And what do you do for a living?
I work for the U.S. Department of Defense.
How long have you been so employed?
16 years now.
And where do you currently live, just the state?
Alabama.
Do you know Taylor Wright?
I did, yes.
How do you know her?
She and I were married for about 10 years.
And do you have any children in common?
Yes, we do.
And just the first name?
Drake.
Okay, and the age?
Turning 9 this week.
How long were you and Taylor married?
About 10 years.
Now, do you recall the month and year when Taylor went missing?
I do. It was September of 2017.
And at that time, where did you live, state only?
I lived in North Carolina.
Prior to September of 2017, did you live in Florida?
I did.
Okay, in what city?
Navarre.
Now, in September 2017, were you and Taylor legally divorced?
Yes.
Even though you were legally divorced, were you and Taylor still going to court in Florida?
Yes.
Okay. And was that over some financial issues?
Among others, yes.
Okay. At some point, did Taylor withdraw some money that she was not supposed to?
Yes.
Okay, and can you tell us the date, if you recall, and how much money it was?
Yes, the last time it occurred was 12 July 2017.
And I need you to lean into that microphone.
Yes, ma'am, sorry.
Yeah, speak up.
Okay.
Okay, so July 12, 2017.
Correct.
And how much did she withdraw?
$100,000.
Now, was Taylor in trouble with the court about that?
That's correct.
And did Taylor, back in September 2017, did she also owe you some child support?
That's correct.
Was she supposed to be placing some money back into an escrow account?
Yes.
And did you and Taylor have a court date in September of 2017?
Yes.
And do you recall the date?
There were two. The first one was supposed to be on 7 September, and that was continued. And the second date, I believe, was the 12th of September.
Did Taylor Wright show for either of those court dates in September?
No.
Okay. And Mr. Wright, when did you personally see Taylor last before she went missing?
It was 13 August 2017,
And where was that?
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
And was that an exchange of your child in common?
That's correct.
Okay. Did Drake have a cell phone back in September 2017?
Yes.
And can you, for the record, tell us what the cell phone number was?
Yeah, his old number, 910-388-4259.
Okay. And did Drake communicate with Taylor on that cell phone?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would they normally, how old was Drake back in August, September 2017?
So he would have been 6, about to turn 7.
Okay. And was it, when Drake and Taylor would communicate, was it more speaking over the phone or texting, or how did they communicate?
It was seldom texting. When there was texting, it was almost exclusively text message, photos. The majority of their communication was verbal on the cell phone.
Now, once Taylor was not being heard from, did you check Drake's cell phone for contact with Taylor?
I did.
Okay, and did you notice anything, I guess, that caught your attention either September 8th or September 9th?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that?
He had called Taylor's phone, as was the habit. I prompted him to call. He did not get an answer, and then got a message back saying, "Call me back." So he called back, and I believe that was repeated again, where he was asked to call back, and that was unusual for him to be directed to call her.
And I believe you said you were in North Carolina at this time?
That's correct.
Okay, and is that Eastern time zone?
Correct.
Okay. Did you screenshot those missed calls and those texts from September 9th of 2017?
I did.
Judge, just for the record, it states 1 and 2, which are the texts and calls that Mr. Wright just testified to, and it's my understanding Mr. Brossett does not have an objection to their admission.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, will be received as states 1 and 2.
1 and 2, yes, ma'am. Mr. Wright, did you reach out to Ashley McArthur on Facebook?
I did.
Okay, and do you remember approximately when that was?
That was the 16th of October, 2017.
Okay. And what was your purpose on reaching out to her?
I was trying to find Taylor. I'd been trying to do basically some detective work, talking with all of the people I knew that were in her circle of friends down in Pensacola, trying to get any information I could about where she was, try to help an old friend, basically.
Okay. And how did you reach out? I don't know how to do Facebook, so how did you do that? If you did.
Yeah, from knowing who Taylor's friends were and just seeing on her list of contacts that Ashley was one of them, I messaged her.
Okay. And did Ms. McArthur appear to respond, or
Yes,
her
she did.
account? Okay. And did you ask her if she maybe knew where Taylor was?
I did.
And what responses did she give you?
In macro, she said that she had last seen Taylor with 2 backpacks, significant amount of money, that Taylor was nervous about the upcoming trial. And I think that's the gist of it.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Those are all my questions.
Mr. Wright, Mr. John Ross is going to ask you questions. Please remember, if it's yes or no, just to answer yes or no. Don't volunteer extra information, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wright. When did you first meet Taylor Wright?
2003 fall timeframe.
And Taylor Wright had a background in law enforcement, correct?
That's correct.
Do you know the extent of her background in law enforcement?
I do.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. She pursued an undergraduate criminal justice degree when I met her, intending to become a police officer. Upon moving to Jacksonville, North Carolina, she entered the police academy for the city of Jacksonville, North Carolina, graduated, was sworn in as an officer in the Jacksonville Police Department in early 2008, and served in that department on and off until 2013.
It's fair to say that Taylor Wright was trained in physical combat.
Yes.
And Taylor Wright was, the times you know her, was known to carry a gun.
Yes.
Knew how to use a gun.
Yes.
When this money became an issue, and it actually became an issue before July of 2017, correct? This money issue between you and Taylor Wright?
That's correct.
Okay. Started back really February timeframe of 2017?
That's correct.
And fair to say that Taylor Wright was making it very, very difficult for you to get this money back?
That is correct.
I mean, the only way you knew to try to get it back was, as you told the jury, you took her back to court, correct?
That's correct.
And I believe after she took the money in July of 2017, you filed a motion for contempt against her in Okaloosa County, Florida, correct?
That's correct.
And a court date was set for September 7th, 2017, correct?
Correct.
And that was to deal with this money.
Correct.
And that day, Taylor Wright did not show up for court, did she?
There was no hearing on that day. It was continued per her request.
Okay. At the very last minute?
A firm, I believe she submitted the request on the 6th.
Did that surprise you?
No.
Why not?
This was part of a pattern of delay and seeking continuance at every opportunity.
Would it be fair to say from the time that y'all really got divorced, that Taylor Wright, at least from your observations, made all the simple things between y'all very difficult? Even, like, for example, exchanging the child.
I wouldn't say everything, but I'd say in a significant number of cases, yes.
May I approach the clerk? Mr. Wright, so you've had an opportunity to look at States Exhibit 1 and 2, correct?
I'll need to be refreshed on which ones those are.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Thank you. A firm, I have been able to review these.
And what those show is communication on Drake's phone with Taylor Wright's phone, correct?
That's correct.
On what date?
9 September 2017.
At what time?
Various times. The text messages started 8:11 p.m. Eastern Time.
Do you remember what day of the week September 9th was?
It says Saturday on the state's evidence number 2 here.
I have one moment.
I'll never pass that opportunity, Your Honor.
Well, I kind of meant my jury, but you can stand too, sir.
Thank you.
Well, while they're doing that, ladies and gentlemen, I guess I'll go off the record and tell you my possum story for the morning. So here we go. When I was a little kid, whenever I didn't want to go somewhere first thing in the morning, I would lie in my bed and not move a muscle. And my father's favorite saying was, "You're playing possum, you might as well just get up and face the day," okay? But this morning I got to see playing possum in action. And my Great Dane went out to go allegedly to the bathroom, and I saw him go for something in the corner of the woods, and I figured out it was a possum, and the possum was up, and the next thing I knew, the possum was down, and the possum wasn't moving at all. So I had, of course, the next thing I know, he's licking the possum, and I figure he's going to have possum tongue or possum something. He has a disease of the week. So I went and retrieved him. But when I went over, that possum was not moving. So that is my great adventure with the Great Dane this morning. Mr. Barossett.
We have one more set.
Sure. We're back up here at the bench, please. We're back on open courtroom record. Just 1 second. And just listen to the question, answer just the question.
Judge, no further questions.
Okay, Ms. Jensen?
I'll redirect, Your Honor.
Okay, now, is this witness excused to return to Alabama?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the defense agree this witness is excused for the remainder of the trial?
Based on our bench conference, yes.
And you are instructed not to discuss your testimony with anyone, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, safe travels. I don't think we need the court reporter up here. I would like to mute the conversation, talk about kind of scheduling at this point at the bench with the attorneys. Ladies and gentlemen, we needed to get Mr. Wright in today and wanted to do openings today, but we had really planned on that being our stopping point for the day. Besides which, you're somewhat shell-shocked because you showed up this morning and then look at here you are. And you each have 14 new friends. So I just want to talk to you for a moment or two, and we'll talk about tomorrow's plans. You know that courtroom temperature, I have a thermostat. It really doesn't work, so most of y'all are kind of layered. You may want to do that tomorrow. I try to keep it comfortable, but I really don't have that much control over temperature. You're going to leave your notepads. You can just leave them on the rail. Renee or Parker will collect them. Like I said, nobody ever reads your notes. They'll be waiting for you tomorrow. If anybody tomorrow decides they want a notepad, that's fine. I'm going to ask that we're all ready to go. The court personnel is going to report at 8:45, whatever time Tisha tells you to be here. Please make sure you're here 5 minutes early. There are 15 of you, my little chickens out there, and I need to get you all together. I cannot start without all of you. You're going to report to the second floor, jury management. So please, whatever time we're going to get together at 8:45. We may have a few minutes of business, but we'll definitely be starting by 9. But whatever time she tells you, I'm just giving y'all the ballpark. Make sure you're here. Give yourself 5 minutes. You know now where to park. Everything good on parking, pretty much. So tomorrow, as far as food, I told you we have snacks, water. You really can't bring Coke in, but I'll give you a chance if you want to go get one and you need a bowl, jolt of sugar or something like that. Do I have any smokers in my jury? No smokers out of 15. Okay. It's not a good time to quit usually in the middle of a murder trial, but none of y'all smoke, so we're good there. Okay. I've got a few other things, but let me think through tomorrow. So we'll order your lunch. You'll have lunch. We'll probably go to about 5:30 tomorrow-ish. I try to break at a natural point. But here's the thing. My ultimate goal is to make sure we're done by Friday. And so I will talk to you as the day progresses. But sometimes we might stay a little later to make sure that we're going to get done. And my other goal is for, if possible, you to get the case when you're not exhausted. Not late in the day or something like that. So sometimes I push harder on the front end. Now today's an exception because, like I said, we kind of decided to do this just to get Mr. Wright on the stand and then back out of town. But tomorrow, plan on 5:30-ish on when we're going to be done. Make arrangements for, as I said, your children or anything that might need your care. Here's the big thing. Normally I say, you cannot talk about the case. You cannot try to research the case. Please don't even look at my name about the case. That you can read about me another day. Don't do any of that. But there's some added things going on here. We're live streaming this. I'm not live streaming. It's being live streamed. I leave it to you as to what you say to your family. But what I don't want happening is someone in your family watching this. There are things that happen up here, and even though it's muted, still there may be things even that happen when y'all are out of the courtroom that they are streaming that you don't know. And the last thing you want is a conversation with somebody about the case. So you tell them or don't tell them. But if you tell them not to watch it and not to say a word to you. Because you know how those people are that you live with, and they have an opinion on everything. I mean, maybe that's just at my house. They have an opinion. You do not want them to say anything to you, because now there's a thought that wasn't in your brain. This is a big deal. 2 years to get here. 15 people sitting in my box. You can see we got a full week of work here. I got to keep you guys. I want to keep you guys. So I'm relying on you to say either nothing or whatever you have to say, but the bottom line is I don't want to have to tell Judge Shack, which is my nickname, that this happened and her to be upset with me. Can y'all promise me that you'll take care of that? Now, don't get curious about the scene. Don't get curious about anything. Don't go look at anything. What you can do is ask those people you live with to cook you dinner. What you can do is have them draw you a bath because you've had a hard day down here. What you can do is watch junk television. But tonight, don't get tempted to watch WEAR, because guess what? You watched it right here. You were here. They're not showing you guys, okay? Don't read the news journal tomorrow morning except the sports section. Just don't read it, because you have more information than anybody. I don't want anybody else getting in your heads, okay? You're free to get to know each other. I hope by the end of the week you're going to feel like you've met some neat people, even though it's under very difficult, stressful situation and a serious and important one, that you've made new friends and that you've formed some good relationships. But don't talk about the case. Can everybody do that for me? Because I'm going to ask you in the morning about it, okay? Ms. Jensen, is there anything else? Oh, and for those folks that are out here that have been watching, that might be family and friends of either side, if you should bump into a juror anywhere, you turn away and walk away. And should you bump into either attorney, by the way, not to call out Ms. Butler, but she got lost today already, and somehow I found her. Ms. Butler and I can bump into each other because I'm the judge. But if she had bumped into Ms. Jensen would have probably said nothing to her and left her where she was. Same for the Barossets. It's nothing against you. They don't want there to be any appearance of impropriety. So if they see you somewhere, Ms. McArthur or somewhere, they're not going to communicate with you at all. Ms. Jensen, anything else you would like me to caution the jury about?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Barry Barossa?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. John Barossa?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm relying on y'all to be safe tonight. Give yourselves plenty of time tomorrow. You know how long it takes to get down here. Please be 5 minutes early, because I'm going to try to take good care of your time. Report where you're supposed to, and then we're going to get down to real business tomorrow. Sound like a plan? And don't talk to anybody about the case. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all are free to leave. Okay, back on the record. What we decided we were doing is we're opening the courtroom at 8:15, and if anybody from the media needs to get set up again, or anybody from Ms. Jensen's office or Mr. Barosset's office needs access to work on equipment, they can. As far as the defendant, defense counsel, state and court and clerk and court reporter, we're going to meet at 8:45. But I wanted to make sure that the courtroom was open so that if anybody from a technological standpoint needed to be here a little earlier, they had that option. And that includes if somebody from Ms. Jensen's office comes up, or like I said, either side comes up, then we've got it. From the state's perspective, is there anything? Oh, let's talk about how long we're going to go each day. My goal, number one, is not to be pushing it on Friday that we are rushing to get it to them by 4 o'clock. So I would rather, like I just told the panel, push at the front end, and if we go to Friday, it's not a problem. I don't want them getting it at 4 o'clock, and y'all don't probably either. So I just want to keep us on track. I have no idea if we're on track or not. Ms. Jensen felt like if we got a start today, we should be fine, but I would like to go to about 5:30 every day. Ms. Jensen, do you think we'll have plenty to do tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Mr. Barry Barossett, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. John Barossett?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. McArthur, you're good? And if you ever need a comfort break, give them an alert. Don't wait till emergency, okay? All right. And with that, I will see all of you at 8:45 tomorrow. Thank you so much.